So you've always kind of had a good like read on the indie market, and you used that to drive a lot of success when you were publisher at Image. Are you happy to see Image kind of as a home for new comics, like new diversity in comics?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We were always called a superhero company, which was never true. The thing is that the original Image founders did superhero comics for one very important reason. We like superhero comics for one, but mostly it was because we had seen over and over and over again really top name talent leave Marvel and DC and do a book that was completely different from the Marvel and DC work and totally lose all their fan base. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to compete directly with Marvel and DC. And the easiest way for us to do that was to do superhero comics. But if you look even back to the earliest days of Image, there were books like Todd's, what was it called? The Bruise Crew. I can't remember the name of it. But we did books like Bone and Gru, yep, and The Max, and there were, Jim had started Homage, which did Strangers from Paradise. No one seems to remember this.
Yeah.
So it was like we all had an intent, I think, to drop stuff. We all had an intent to do stuff that was different than superhero comics and to open it up a bit better. For me, it was like most of my friends were doing that. So all the back covers of Shadowhawk promoted independent comics, Bean World, Understanding Comics, basically all my friends.
Yeah. It's so cool because I feel like it's something that a lot of people don't do is like go back and look at that old stuff, but they have giant volumes of Gru now and the artist editions and all that stuff, as a newer fan, I still go back and look at that stuff and kind of pay homage to it in a way because it was so cutting edge for its time. I feel like a lot of people weren't doing stuff that wasn't superhero based, so it was interesting to kind of see that.
Well, there were always people that promoted non-superhero, non-genre stuff. I mean, you had Eclipse in the early days. Certainly, Dark Horse did a lot of it.
Yeah.
So we weren't the first by any means, but I was glad to play a small role in that, and seeing what Image is now today as a result of it it gives me a lot of satisfaction, and I feel very vindicated that my vision for the company was right.
So we have some people here who just want to say hi. So PJ Katakutin has a question for you actually. He says, what was it like seeing Taserface on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
My son Aaron created Taserface when he was 5 years old.
Wow.
Okay. Which is why I used it, and why I titled that first story, Are They Ready for Taserface? Because I thought the name was just as silly as Two-Face or Prune-Face or any of the other faces that were in comics. So, he's 32 now, so that gives you some idea about how long ago it was. His comment after, we laughed, his comment after the movie was that he wished they would have said it was a name so dumb only a 5-year-old would have thought of it. And I said, but they didn't know you were 5 at the time. How could they have known that? So yeah, we enjoyed it. We've enjoyed all the toys, and thank you, James Gunn. You almost made up for butchering Yondu. But
So, Matthias Lewis says he just wants to remind you and all the viewers out there watching that we have all these comic books that we're talking about in local comic book stores, and to go out there, pick them up, check them out. If there's anything you hear about that you like, that you're like, I wanted to read that, or I never got around to it, go check out your local comic book store. And
a better idea, even, if I may, is to support your local comic book store, look through previews. If you see something that you like, give your retailer half of the money so that he knows you're serious and that you'll come back and you'll give him the other half. Order those comics in advance, and please pay them, because they're living on small margins, and we need to keep them in business.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have pre-orders coming in, you know how much more to order, and you don't end up without a book. And I think as a
That's
fan,
right. Yeah.
I get to the store so many times, and I'm like, I wanted to read that. That you ordered one copy of that.
Part of the problem is communicating.
Of course.
You know, communicate with your retailer, and retailers communicate with their fans and with their purchasers. And what you do is it's easier to order that way.